I want you to think about the most creative person you know. I mean, the one who's a fountain of ideas. Now, let me ask you a question. Are they also the most effective person you know? Often the answer is, well, no. See, I've seen this pattern time and again. It reveals a fundamental misunderstanding most of us have about what it actually means to think well. It's a paradox that once you understand it will completely change the way you approach problems. So to understand this paradox, we first need to define our terms. On one hand, you have divergent thinking. This is your inner brainstormer. It's about generating endless possibilities, asking, what if? And exploring every angle without judgment. It's the engine of creativity. And on the other hand, you have convergent thinking. This is your inner CEO. It's about using logic, spotting patterns, and finding the single best answer to a well-defined problem. It's the engine of execution. And the misunderstanding, the trap, is believing that you have to be one or the other, that you're either the free-spirited artist or the rigid analyst. Let me tell you a story. It was about a brilliant entrepreneur I once coached. This person was a perfect example of what I'm talking about, a divergent thinking master. His mind was a firehouse of incredible business ideas. Every week he'd come to me with a new revolutionary concept that was genuinely exciting. But he was completely stuck. He'd never launched a single idea. Why? Well, because he never switched modes. He lived entirely in the land of what if and was paralyzed by the sheer number of possibilities. His creativity without a filter had become a cage. This is the danger of worshiping creativity alone, my friend. See, divergent thinking without convergent thinking is just daydreaming. On the flip side, relying only on convergent thinking is just an assembly line for old ideas, leaving you unable to adapt to a changing world. So, I ask you, what's the solution? It's not to be a better divergent thinker, it's to become a flexible thinker. Think of it like a sculptor. You see, a sculptor's divergent mind looks at a raw block of marble and sees 1,000 potential statues inside. That's the vision. But vision alone creates nothing. It's only when they switch to their convergent mind, picking up the chisel, making precise decisions, and methodically carving away everything that isn't the statue, that the masterpiece itself is revealed. That is execution. And from a neurological perspective, you're literally shifting brain networks. You're powering down your wandering default mode network and firing up your focused executive control network. The skill isn't having one or the other, it's being the pilot who knows when to switch the engines. So how do we use this in the real world? Well, let's apply it to watching a political pundit. This is how you transform from a passive consumer into an active analyst. All right, in phase one, the divergent mode, you put on your explorer's hat. As the pundit speaks, your only job is to gather data, not to judge, okay? You ask, what is their core claim? What evidence are they using? And what emotions are they targeting? You're simply trying to understand the full argument, even steel manning it to make it stronger. In phase two, the convergent mode, once the segment ends, the last segment, you take off the explorer hat and put on the judge's wig. Now you analyze the data. For example, let's say a pundit claims a new tax cut will create jobs by citing one company that hired 50 people. Neutrally notes the claim and the anecdotal evidence. Now, your judge brain then kicks in and asks, is this anecdote representative or just an emotional outlier? Is this an example of the broken window fallacy where, they're showing me the seen benefit, the 50 new jobs, while ignoring the unseen costs of the tax cut? What other logical fallacies am I hearing here? By separating these two phases, you build a firewall against manipulation. You give the argument a fair hearing before you put it on trial. So the next time you face a problem or a pundit, don't ask, how can I be more creative? Ask yourself, what mode of thinking does this moment need? Does it need a brainstorm with no bad ideas? Well, go to divergent thinking. Does it need a decision, a plan, or a single right answer? Switch to convergent thinking. See, this ability to consciously shift between modes is the foundation of clear, effective thinking. It's how you turn possibilities into reality. If you want to keep learning the practical skills to become a flexible thinker, make sure you're subscribed. And now I have a question for you. What's one area in your life where you tend to get stuck in one mode of thinking? Let's discuss it in the comments below. And you know what? Keep thinking sharper. Thanks for watching.